I am a math teacher, so I don't teach literacy, right? Kids already come to math class knowing how to read and write, so I don't need to teach them any literacy skills, right? Wrong. You see, in mathematics, we do a lot of reading and writing, and often it's in a way that's a little bit different than what students typically learn to do in a language arts class. Reading in math can take on a lot of different forms. You've got word problems, like this one, from the Centre for Education in Mathematics and Computing at University of Waterloo. A large tent is being set up for a fair. Two poles, QU and RT, are placed perpendicular to the ground and 12 meters apart. Pole QU is 4 meters in length, and pole RT is 7.5 meters in length. A tarp is placed over the poles and secured to the ground at P, 3 meters from the base of pole QU, and S, 4 meters from the base of pole RT. Determine PQ plus QR plus RS, the length of the tarp. To equip students to tackle problems like this, we need to teach them various aspects of literacy within a mathematical context. We need to teach students how to find the important information in a question. The numbers, yes, but more importantly, what the question is really asking. This is something so many students struggle with, especially in a society where more and more we want the quick and easy answers. We need to teach students how to slow down, read for what the question really wants. In this case, PQ plus QR plus RS, the length of the tarp. We also need to equip students with the appropriate vocabulary. In this case, perpendicular. We need to teach students not just the vocabulary words they need for a particular situation, but we need to teach them where to find answers when they don't know them. We need to walk them through their texts so they know where the index is and how to use it, what the appendices are, and how they can be helpful. Another area in which we must equip students is in mathematical shorthand. What does QU mean? What does P refer to? Mathematicians love using shorthand. We can write statements like, y is the set of all integer numbers, which we'll call x such that x is less than the minimum of 6a and a times a times a times a, in exactly 18 characters. If we're not actively teaching students what these symbols mean, mathematics can become more intimidating and truly look like another language entirely. Finally, to tackle the same word problem, we need to teach students the literacy skills of visualization. Along with misunderstanding the question, many students struggle with understanding what the situation is. To add to this confusion is the fact that many given diagrams are not to scale, and so are intentionally misleading. Thus, when teaching math, we need to also teach students how to dissect a word problem to build an image of the scenario, then determine how to tackle the problem. And yet, this word problem doesn't even cover the many dimensions of literacy we should be teaching in math. Yes, students read word problems, but they also read graphs and they read equations, each of which comes with its own specific set of skills. Reading graphs, for instance, is important because you can't necessarily look at the center of the image to determine what it means. You have to look for the axes to read what is being compared and the scale of those things. In a society where statistics and science are gaining grounds and advertising and arguments, we need to be equipping students with critical mathematical literacy skills so they can interpret what someone is showing them. Reading equations goes back to the idea of mathematical shorthand. Students need to recognize where one mathematical sentence ends and another begins. Moreover, in math, equations typically read left to right and top to bottom, but it's done in columns so that the eyes move more fluidly. There's even more math grammar that we can't just expect students to pick up. A textbook will almost never put two equal signs in the same line because that's just bad math grammar. But unless we explicitly tell students this, many of them will fall into the trap, making their work less clear in a step-by-step progression. There's a reason why mathematicians write the way they do, and so often this is skipped over in an effort to cover the concepts of mathematics. But unless students can effectively communicate the concepts, we may never know if they fully understand the concepts in the first place. This kind of literacy learning can't take place in a typical language arts classroom, though. There, it would be out of context and meaningless, not to mention the confusion that students would have if somehow language arts teachers had to jump from the novel studies about relevant issues like racism to the shorthand of math, although I think these connections can be made in meaningful ways when appropriate. So, this is why I do teach literacy, because I am a math teacher.